Let's put the phones down. Let's sit down to welcome our very important guest today with very important information about life, about the world, about where we're at. Somebody that I admire and have been in communication with for the last year and a half, as he's been moving through the world like a storm and bringing up the conversation of human optimization, lifestyle, longevity, understanding what it means to be alive, why we're here, conditioning, history, the etymology of everything we know to be as normal, and questioning those things in action. It is with great honor and privilege I introduce to you my dear friend and colleague, Bryan Johnson.
Hi, you guys. So first, let's examine what people are eating for lunch. Let's see, what is this, sir? What's going on here? It looks like it's cheesecake. Is this yours? Whose is this? Who did? Okay, let's go over here. What are you guys eating over here? What is this? Okay, lasagna. What is this? A frittata? Wait. Oh my God, this is eaten. Who ate this? Come on, you guys. Fucking own it. Raise your hands if you ate it. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, you guys, today we're going to talk about don't die. And so over the past 5 years, I've become the most measured person in human history. I've measured every single thing I possibly can about my body. And we've tried to basically make this goal of, are we actually the first generation who won't die? And so that would be a ridiculous question if you asked it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, any other time in history. Right now, it is legit a question that you can take seriously. And so I want to basically try to compress everything I've learned in the past 5 years and make it actionable for you today. Health is very complicated, and there's so many things that are confusing. So I'm going to try to distill it into simple life lessons. Is that okay for time, how we spend this together? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so the most important thing you can do on a daily basis is lower your resting heart rate. Okay, so when you go to bed, put your head on the pillow, take a few deep breaths. If you have a wearable, pull up your phone and see what your heartbeat is. So let's say tonight it's 60 beats per minute. Okay, your goal over the next month is to get your heart rate 10% lower to 54 beats per minute. Okay, and the reason you're going to do this is because it's going to inform everything about your entire life. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have your final meal of the day at least 4 hours before you go to sleep. So if your bedtime is 10 p.m., by 6 p.m., you're finished eating. No more snacks, no more food, 4 hours. You do that because your body needs the time to digest the food and they get ready for sleep. If you eat adjacent to bed, like 9, and you go to bed at 10, your body is so busy digesting food, it can't sleep. Okay, you probably know this intuitively, right? If you eat close to the bed, you feel your heart thumping in your chest, it's very hard to sleep. So eating earlier and lighter is better. I eat my last meal of the day at 12, like noon every day, thereabouts. I did that because I did a couple hundred experimentations, and I realized, I saw the data, that if I have my head on the pillow at night and my heartbeat is 44 beats per minute, I'm gonna have a perfect night's sleep. And what's a perfect night's sleep? Roughly 2 hours of REM, roughly 2 hours of deep, awake 0 times, and then asleep within like 2 to 3 minutes. If I eat before bed, like an hour before bed, my sleep is going to be about 30 to 40% less. I'm going to wake up at least once per night. I'm going to wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to ruminate on everything going on in life. Okay? So it has this really bad cascade. So the first is eat earlier and lighter. You're going to form intuitions like what we just saw on this table of like the lasagna and the apple fritter stuff. Those things will increase your resting heart rate. Okay? So you want to have intuitions on what kind of foods elevate your heart rate and what foods lower your heart rate. So I've built my entire life around what lowers my resting heart rate. Now, the reason why this is important is the number one best performance enhancing drug in the world is sleep. Nothing is better. Nothing moves biomarkers more effectively than sleep. Now, once you get sleep nailed, of course, then you can bridge to exercise and other things, but sleep is the most important. So now we have last meal of the day. The second thing you're going to do is an hour before bed, maybe 30 minutes, you're going to turn your phones off. Yeah, we're all addicted. okay? So we need to gather together, right, in addiction therapy, and we need to acknowledge that turning that phone off is the hardest thing in the entire day, but you need to do it, okay? The phone is going to increase your resting heart rate. You need 30 to 60 minutes to wind your body and your mind down, okay? You can't be scrolling. You can't be doing, no, you can't be scrolling. Do the test, do the experiment. You'll see that when you do that, it's gonna elevate your heart rate. So instead, put your phone down and then pick up a book, okay? An actual physical book, and just read for 10 minutes, okay? That's it. Clinical studies show it performs as well or better than sleep meds, okay? In that 30 to 60 minutes, also, like go for a walk, talk to a friend, like do some breath work, meditation, but you have to basically calm yourself down. Now, all of you are type A personalities, right? You're very driven, you're very ambitious. And so you also need to address your internal, let's call it chaos or ruminations, okay? So the way I do this is at 7:30 p.m., an hour before my bedtime, I put Sleep Bryan in charge of me. So he comes onto duty. I have an image of what Sleep Bryan is. He's got like a sword and a shield. And so he says, I'm now in charge. The very first Bryan to show up at 7:30 p.m. is Ambitious Bryan, every single time. Ambitious Bryan shows up and he says, I've got an amazing new idea for this thing we're going to do. And Sleep Bryan says, Ambitious Bryan, you're doing a great job in life. We love you. Tomorrow, we're gonna write down your idea, and then tomorrow we're gonna talk about this. And Ambitious Bryan says, are you sure? And Sleep Bryan says, yep, we got you. Are you sure? Yes. So then Ambitious Bryan walks away. The next one is Anxious Bryan. He shows up and he says, today, you really fucked up that conversation. You were a real asshole. And Sleep Bryan says, thank you, Anxious Bryan. You increase our self-awareness. We don't want to do that in life. Thank you very much. Then all the Bryans just line up. They all want to express their concerns, their excitement, what they're mad about, but they want to get out their thoughts and emotions and feelings. Now, you have, whether you do this or another practice, you have to reconcile with your thoughts. If you don't, you all know what happens. You wake up at night, well, rather, you put your head on the pillow, you start ruminating about the day, right? And you can't go to sleep. 30 minutes pass, an hour passes, an hour and a half pass. You fall asleep at some point, but then you wake up, like at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, or even earlier, and you're there spinning. That keeps you in light sleep all night long, so you can't get into deep sleep, okay? So these routines is you eat early, okay, earlier, and the things that lower your heart rate, you turn your screen off, you calm your body and mind down, you work through your thoughts and emotions, you're now in this calmed space to sleep. Sleep doesn't just happen. You can't just say, now I want to go to sleep, I'm going to lay my head down on the pillow. You actually have to build it as a craft. You have to become really good at sleep. And I want to suggest to you that sleep should be, or warrants being, not should, warrants being, your number one life priority. More important than money, more important than family, more important than anything. It's like putting the mask on yourself first before masking others. Do you know why they say that in airplanes? When you're at 33,000 feet, do you know how long you're conscious if you lose altitude, if you lose pressurization in the cabin? 7 seconds, you're out. You lose consciousness. That's why it's not like, you're not being selfish by putting the mask on yourself. You're actually doing it so you can help others. If you don't do it, you can't help yourself. Sleep is the mask. Like when you lose sleep, let me go on the flip side and tell you some terrifying things about sleep so you realize that you're basically going unconscious when you do these things. So if you sleep less than 4 hours per night, your body lessens its cancer surveillance by 73%. Okay? Your body says, look, I'm so stressed out, I'm gonna stop looking for cancer to a substantial degree. Also, when you have a poor night's sleep, you have an inflammatory protein called SB100. It's the same as what you have when you have a traumatic brain injury. So bad sleep is literally brain damage. And it's not like you can just do one night, like, it's fine, not a big deal. It literally wrecks your body on one day, okay? Those are the opposite sides. All right, so now, everyone okay so far on this? Is this hitting? Is this okay? Like, give me like up or sideways or down. Okay, okay. So the next thing is you want to be in bed at the same time every night, the best you can. Now, my credentials in this, I have the best recorded sleep score in history. 8 months of perfect sleep. Okay, so it was something I wanted to show you can, in fact, achieve high quality sleep. And so when I was doing this, I was going to bed at 8:30 every night. So I was in bed plus or minus 1 minute every night, 8:29 to 8:31. And I will tell you, the body is insanely powerful if you give it the space to perform. It locks in our circadian rhythm, and it knows the time as well as our clocks. Like, it was amazing. I would just be like ready for bed in my wind down routine. 8:28, 8:29 would come. My adenosine would just drop and be like, I'm just out. It was unreal. So give your body the power to fall into a circadian rhythm. You also want to have in your house, try to turn off blue lights, have reds and ambers. So screens are not good. The blue light from the screens will suppress melatonin, and it will extend the amount of time it takes you to fall asleep. Be mindful of stimulants. Okay, so coffee or caffeine has a 6-hour half-life. If your bedtime's at 10 p.m., and you have a cup of coffee at 4 p.m., you have a half a cup of coffee in you when you go to sleep. Okay, so if you're going to have caffeine, push it earlier in the day so your body has time to cycle through it so you're not still stimulated as you go to bed. Okay, questions on sleep? Yeah. Do you dream? Yes, I've never had better dreams in my entire life than when I'm doing. So basically, I generate better ideas about everything in my sleep than anywhere else than in my life.
What's the best time of day to exercise in order to maximize your sleep?
So any time except for 6 hours or less before bed. So there's a study recently came out that showed that high intensity exercise increases your heart rate and lowers your sleep. So any time before 6 hours before bed, you're good.
So if you travel abroad, you cannot sleep at the same time every day.
Yeah.
How can you adjust it?
Yeah, so international travel wrecks your health. There's just no way around it. I went to India and I went to China. It dramatically increased my speed of aging. Okay, so like if you just think about the practical things here, you get on the airplane, what's the first thing they give you? Alcohol. Then you sit down, you've got a big screen in front of you, you're getting blasted with blue light, and they give you a big plate of food, right? They're trying to kill you. Those 3 things kill you. Okay, so when you're flying, fast on the airplane. Okay, so get on the plane, don't eat, get some sleep. If you want to get some sleep, eat something when before you land, fine. But don't drink alcohol, don't look at screens, and try to fast on the airplane. When you land, start your routine immediately. So the next morning when you wake up, exercise. First thing you do, no matter how shitty you feel, exercise. You want to tell your body, we are in a new time zone. We want to start all of our new circadian processes. Eat and exercise.
But Bryan, all these things you're telling us to do is going to make our life so boring. Like, how are we supposed to have fun when we can't drink and eat and party all night and hang out and howl to the moon?
Yeah, so I would say over 50% of you are suffering from a mental health illness. Tell me I'm wrong.
Just 75%.
Tell me I'm wrong.
75.
Hey, let's be real, right? Like, I was depressed for a decade. I wanted to kill myself for a decade. I would have, had it not been for my 3 kids. I had no one in my life, no one who would say, Bryan, you need to sleep. No one. Okay, so I get it. Culture says you're a badass if you get 4 hours of sleep. And they say you're a badass, right, if you're making a ton of money and you're at the top of your game. But you're sick and you're depressed and you're anxious and life sucks, okay? The idea that you're gonna grind your way to happiness is false. It is not true. This idea of martyrdom is not true. It's pain. It's pure suffering. It's not some virtue. Culture has this wrong. And in a few years' time, we're going to look back at this time and say, oh my God, we used to be absolutely primitive cavemen in the way we behaved. Like, this is absurd and insane, okay? It's coming. So be ahead of the curve. You are going to be a happier person. You're going to make more money. You're going to have better judgment in life. You're going to be a better partner. You're going to be a better friend to yourself if you make health your number 1 priority, okay? So 2 things on this. One is I want to be that voice in your head. Okay? When you're reaching for the bad thing, I'm staring at you, motherfucker. okay? And number two, right, I want you to hear me. Like, I want that to be the voice in your head. I'm standing up for your conscious existence, right? 21 million is all we get. We have one body. It's our most precious asset. It is insane we spend down our conscious existence on stupid shit. You can get high quality sleep. You can be successful. You can be ambitious as fuck and be healthy. Those are not two opposite ideas. Okay, but the culture just like has pounded this thing in and it's wrong. Others? Yeah, I have a Whoop. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do on the shoulder. Yep.
So crypto never sleeps in a bull market. And, how do you balance crypto with longevity and staying alive?
Yeah, I mean, you guys so this is what I'm saying, like any other time in life, when death is inevitable, you YOLO, right? Pick your YOLO path. And it may be, I'm gonna make as much money as I can. It may be, I wanna be immortal in my professional accomplishment. It may be that I'm gonna have kids and be a great parent. It may be like, pick your immortality. It was like, I'm gonna raise an army and conquer territories and build a huge empire. It's always been YOLO to some epic thing. You've all chosen your own YOLO. Like if you self-examine, you've chosen a YOLO. This is the first time in the history of the human race where YOLO may no longer be the answer. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a shift that is like mind-boggling, that we can't comprehend it. That the last halving is 2140, right? Like, we should be thinking we all want to be present in a get-together in 2140 for that last event, right? Like, why don't we think of those kind of time scales? And we can. So like, it really is like, it's a reframe of the question. I get it. I totally understand what you're saying. The intensity of the pressure to perform is just like insane. Like money, social media, friends, like it's like out of control. We all feel it. It's really tough. So it's a big shift and it creates tension. There's no easy answer. Others, yes.
First off, I had quit caffeine 6 months ago, so thank you.
Great.
And it's really completely changed my life. What do you think about taking phosphatidylserine, like for that or just in general?
Yeah, so on all these questions like this, my encouragement is to measure. Measurement is the most underappreciated thing in health. So when I got into health and wellness 5 years ago, I knew nothing about this world. I'm not a medical doctor. I didn't study this thing. And what was so apparent to me is everybody was out there telling stories. It's like a charismatic person with a certain thing, like a fancy name and a certain protocol and like this and that. And they just kind of like rolled through the cultural ether. And I thought, how could you possibly discern truth by doing this? And so I thought, like, a measurement, like that's the path. And so we just started measuring the hell out of everything. And so we just take that question, like if I were you, I would create an experiment. Like, what is this molecule? What is the hypothesis? Measure your baseline markers, do the therapy, and measure your baseline markers. Like, that's the best way to test anything, right? If you like carnivore, great, do carnivore. Measure your biomarkers. If you like cold therapy, great, do it. Measure your biomarkers. Nobody measures, that's the thing. And so people do shit, they're just like, oh, well, my friend did something, he says he feels great. What does that even mean? Right? So like we've learned so much stuff just by simple measurement. So I'd say, yeah, experiment and measurement.
How did you incorporate this methodology for your children?
Yeah.
Are they following the same method?
Yeah, I have 3 kids, 21, 19, and 15. My 21-year-old is like 50-50. He's like kind of in. My 19-year-old is a mirror of me. If you've seen the documentary, that's Talmadge, who was in the documentary with me. And then my daughter is 15. She just thinks I'm really weird. So I'd say so I'll give you an example of how I parent. I sold Braintree Venmo in 2013. I made $300 million. And I thought there's 2 philosophies on how to parent. One is you keep everything a secret from your kids, of like, you don't tell them how you have money, you want them to grow up in some environment where they don't feel like they're rich. Or you just become radically transparent. And I chose the radical transparency. And so I show them all my bank accounts. Like every transaction I do, they have full access to all my ledgers, everything I do. And I'm able to do that and say, like, this is what's happening, here's why I'm doing it, and here's the concept around it. And so same with health, I do the same thing, like full transparency. Here's exactly what it is. So like, I posted my son's nighttime boners. Yeah, let me give you some context on that. So like I was in India, and with Talmadge, my 19-year-old son, and we were measuring the air quality. India has some of the worst air quality in the entire world. And I gave him this device to measure air quality. And I explained to him, like, this is what PM 2.5 means, PM 1, PM 10. Here's how you measure VOCs, et cetera. Like, here's all the pollutants of the air. And I gave this device to him, and the entire trip, he just was on this scientific experiment. He would take it everywhere we went, like in the gym, in the room, in the hotels, and restaurants, and he'd be reporting out, keeping this log of like where the air quality was and various things. It just like gave him this scientific inquiry. Then I introduced to him this idea that nighttime boners is a really important marker of health. How many of you knew that? Yeah. Okay. So let me just like jump on that one just for a moment, okay? So this is true for men and women. Women, did you know you have boners? Women, did you know that you have boners every night? Yeah, you do. So you have the same arousal cycle as men. So during your sleep, your clitoris engorgement. Okay, so the clit engorges. Multiple cycles, engorges, comes down, engorges, and in the morning you've got a morning bean. Like men have a morning wood, women have a morning bean. So the body does this, right? It like keeps your sexual functions in a healthy way, okay? So when I talk about sleep, a lot of you are kind of like, yeah, whatever. And if I tell you, if you don't get sleep, guess what happens also? You don't have boners, okay? Now that's important because if you don't have boners, if men are not going through that cycle, they're 70% more likely to die prematurely. Okay? It is a really important marker of physical, psychological, and cardiovascular function. It's one of the most important markers of your health. Okay? So as you age, your nighttime erections go down systematically. So by the time you're 7 years old, you're around 50 minutes or so. So when I started talking about this publicly, a lot of my friends texted me. They're like, I don't think I'm having any. So it was really important they find out because their sleep was shit, their diet was shit, their sexual function had shut down. Okay? That's why sleep matters, is if you don't, your body stops surveying for cancer, it stops doing nighttime erections, men and women, so that's why it's so important for your health and wellness. So yeah, I gave my son this tool, like, figure out your health protocol, so it's really, he and his friends are doing it, yes?
Your framework is obviously built around longevity or trying to live for as long as you can. There's another thematic which is quite popular at the moment, which is around optimization and enhancement, around the enhanced games and so forth.
Yeah.
And I was just wanting to know, like, what are your thoughts on peptides and everything that's involved in that for one, optimization, but then two, longevity as well?
Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna take a quick side path and come back to your question if that's okay. So people think I'm talking about health. I'm not. This whole thing is not about health. It's basically, it's performance art to try to address the most important question on planet Earth, which is what do we do when we give birth to superintelligence? That's it. That's my entire thing. Okay, so right now, the most important thing happening on planet Earth, outside of Bitcoin, of course, is we are giving birth to superintelligence. It is improving at a speed that we cannot fathom, and even in a matter of months and years, it's going to potentially cause us to question these really important things about society. Who are we? Who are we together? Who do we trust? Who runs the government? Do we have jobs? What do we do? What's our identity? All these basic things. And we're at this point as a species where it's not clear to me we have the answer. We're based upon this YOLO death kind of scenario. What Don't Die is, Don't Die says that this is an existential moment for the human race. It is not clear whether we humans have a path forward. It's not to say we don't, but it's to make the observation, we don't know. We're approaching an event horizon. The one thing we can all agree upon, every single human on this planet, no matter what nation state you're in, no matter what religion you're in, no matter your ideological dispositions, nobody wants to die right now. So Don't Die I'm trying to make Don't Die the world's next major ideology, on par with capitalism or democracy or Islam or Christianity, that it is a political system, economic system, moral, ethical, social, all the above, that is how we understand ourselves. And that is what we do with AI, is we build within AI that existence is the highest virtue. Right now, wealth is the highest virtue. We're willing to sacrifice all for wealth. we are not willing to sacrifice for existence, right? We sacrifice our existence for wealth. And what I'm suggesting is, as we move into this new space, existence becomes the ultimate objective of our existence. Now, once you secure that, sure, we can play all these games, but we've never had this opportunity. So that's what it is. So when I talk about these things, when I'm talking about going to bed on time and respecting life and like lowering your heart rate, what I'm trying to say is the most important thing we can do as a species is to say yes to life. We are currently a suicidal species, right? We're willing to sacrifice our own existence for these other games. So to your question on like an enhancement, I think it's amazing. Like I think it's like we have these, with AI, we'll be able to build new drugs and new possibilities. We should just blow it open, right? Like what can we become? Like how long can we live? How well we can live? How vibrant can we be? So I love it. I'm an investor in enhanced games. I'm a huge supporter. I love what they're doing. They're breaking conventional wisdom on all things, so I think it's great.
I have a question about how hardcore you mean don't die. If you could live forever, would you? Or are you just trying to get another healthy 100 years, healthy 200 years? Or eventually, do you think there's virtue in dying and just going to the other side?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess two things. One is I've learned that when they are confronted with the idea of wanting to live forever, most people say no. And they say no because it breaks their brain. Like they'll say like, I'll be bored, I don't know what to do, I don't know, it's kind of scary. But the thing is, if I ask them, I'll ask you, do you want to live tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Yeah. Yeah, you got things going on? Cool. And when tomorrow night arrives, Wednesday night, do you have stuff going on Thursday? I do, yeah, I got plans. Yeah, and Friday? Yeah, I got it. Okay, so wanting to live for tomorrow and wanting to live forever are the same idea. There's no difference. It's identical. And so at some point in time, you may arrive and say, tomorrow, I got nothing. Like just absolutely nothing, and I'm done, which may be fine. But that's the thing is like, people are willing to give up on existence because they can't understand it. So you have to frame it in a way they can, that we all want tomorrow. That's what Don't Die is. Don't Die says we all want tomorrow. So it's like a unifying thing among all humans.
Two quick questions about water. How much water do you drink a day?
Yeah, so I guess a few things about hydration. So how many of you sauna? Cool. Yeah, so I just started a sauna protocol. I do 20 minutes a day at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That was what the clinical evidence showed as an ideal therapy. And I've been wearing this sweat patch made by Gatorade, and I was testing the amount of sweat. So I personally sweat 18 ounces. So I work out really hard. I jump in the sauna, so I'm already like elevated in heat. I sweat 18 ounces in the sauna. And my sodium content in sweating is between 26 milligrams and 39 milligrams per ounce. So in a sauna session, I sweat between 600 and 700 milligrams of sodium. Okay. Now I say that because a person's decision on what they consume for hydration depends upon how much they sweat and what's the sodium content in their sweat. And again, this goes back to the question you asked before, right? Is measurement. So the best way to assess your hydration, like you could say at a layer 1, like 60 to 80 ounces of water is a good idea, right? Which is like fine for a generic assessment. But you say like layer 2, let me measure my sweat output and see what I am. Am I a salty sweater or non-salty sweater? Then you can back into my electrolytes. Then need to be, I supplement 500 milligrams of sodium plus potassium, magnesium. So short answer for me, it's about 80 to, actually with sauna, it's about 80 to 100 ounces of water per day, and I consume about 3 grams a day of sodium.
Are you familiar with deuterium depleted water?
Pardon me?
DDW, deuterium depleted water.
Oh, yeah.
Deuterium.
What about it?
Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it. I haven't researched it.
Okay. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, cool.
May I ask a question?
What's up?
Yeah. If you say we can live forever, so thank you.
Thank you. If you say we can live forever, we cannot die, so we have opportunity to move to the Mars or Moon. So does sleep matters out of the Earth?
Yeah, so I guess like the sleep matters for a few reasons right now while we still need it. One is your body just needs it to function. But 2, we need it to have good judgment. Right? The worst thing that could possibly happen to us in this moment is we don't see this moment for what it is. And when you're missing sleep, you're literally intoxicated. So I built a company, Kernel. We built a brain interface, like it's wearable fMRI. You put this bike helmet on your head. We did this study where we were trying to measure impairment. So we did control of no alcohol. We did medium alcohol and high alcohol. And what we found is when somebody drank a medium amount of alcohol, they were impaired, but they actually could pass all behavioral tests. Like basically they appeared non-impaired. But once they drank a lot of alcohol, they couldn't pass the test anymore. But when we looked at the brain with Kernel, we could see the brain was impaired at medium level of alcohol. Okay, so that's why we're trying to assess, like, people start declining cognitively, like cognitive decline, like 15 to 20 years before they show actual symptoms. So the brain is actually declining long before you actually realize it. And we're trying to show these signatures. And so when you're not getting sleep, you're actually really impaired, but you don't know it. You're impaired in judgment, you're impaired in all sorts of things. So I'd say, like, that's why it's critical in this moment is we can imagine all the amazing things coming our way, but if we're foggy in our perception, it's a bad thing for all of us. So
Our body will change if we're not sleeping.
possibly, yeah, if we have genetic engineering. So yeah, if we can modify our genes, like, great. But I'm just saying, like, right now, here and now, it's essential, and I don't want to give up on that point. All right, can I jump to a couple of things real quick and come back to a bunch of some other questions? Is that cool? Okay, sleep. So first, commitment pattern, okay? Why don't you all stand up, get some oxygen in your body. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys to commit to me. Actually, before we do this, I'm gonna do an age test with you, okay? This is gonna be an age biomarker, okay? You're gonna choose a foot, choose your right or left foot, okay? I'm gonna ask you to stand on that one foot. So just do it now. Pick your right or left foot, just stand on it. Keep your foot close to you. Just try to feel your balance. Now, I'm gonna say close your eyes, okay? I'm gonna count down 3 to 1. Now, when you hit 1, some of you are gonna fall over instantaneously. Don't hurt yourself, okay? But this is a marker for aging on the balance you have in your brain. As you age, your brain loses its ability to keep its balance. This is why falling down is so important when you get old. Like, you fall down and you're kind of toast, okay? So let's do it, okay? I'm gonna go down 3, 2, 1, close your eyes. 5 seconds. 10. 15. And you can't move it. Stay. If you move, you're out. 20. And you can't swing your arms or legs. 25. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, now that's one time. Okay, shake it off. So you guys, 30 seconds is the minimum for this test. If you can't bang out 30 seconds, you've got work to do, okay? All right, wait, shake it off, choose a leg. Okay, get ready, get in a stable position, choose your foot, doesn't matter, left or right. 3, 2, 1. 5. 10. 15. 20. 25. 30. Okay, cool. How many of you got to 30? Cool. All right, take a seat. So what you guys are going to realize is I've done like a few hundred of these tests like this that reveal your biological age. You're probably familiar with a few of these, like you can do grip strength, right? That determines whether or not it's an age indicator. You can do balance, like hundreds of other tests. But these are really important markers. You probably didn't know you had that muscle in your body, and it's really important for your awareness. All right, back to sleep, okay? So I'm going to ask you guys to commit to me that you're going to make sleep a priority in your life. In fact, I would even go so far to say it's your #1 priority in life, okay? Only raise your hand and commit to me if you're serious about doing this, but I'm serious about this, you guys. I wish somebody would have done this to me in my life, like seriously. So who's willing to do it? Okay, I'm with you on this, okay? Like, I'm your partner on this. I want you to sincerely do it, okay? It will give you a better ROI than anything you're gonna make in Bitcoin. Okay, all right, next. Now, sleep, let me jump to two things, okay? Sleep is really important because then when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you wanna exercise, Okay, so I exercise 1 hour every day. I do 30 minutes of strength training, balance, and flexibility. And then I do 30 minutes of cardio, zone 2 or high intensity interval training. Okay? So that's my protocol, 7 days per week. I don't take any breaks. I love it. I feel great. My recovery is fine. But you don't have to do that. Even if you do 2 or 3 times a week, something like an hour, that's great. But the key is exercise every single day. Okay? Even if it's just a 20-minute walk, make sure you're active. Like if you're stretching, do some balance, but be active, make it a part of your life. Don't go several days without exercising because it creates risk. You're gonna fall into bad habits, okay? So every day, if you want, yeah, actually that's good enough for exercise. We can go down these rabbit holes, but we'll leave it at that. Next is nutrition. So is there a place I can post something here? Do you guys have a chat group or something? Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna share with you guys the food guide that we built as a team. We went through all the scientific evidence, like all of it, and we ranked the highest value foods. We have a philosophy that every calorie that gets into my body has to fight for its life. Nothing is just convenient because it exists. So we said, what are the superfoods among superfoods? And I have that plate for you, so you can pick among it. The short of it is I'm plant-based with collagen peptides. My caloric intake is 2,250 calories a day. So it's about 250 less than what would be required, so I'm in caloric restriction. I eat 130 grams of protein per day. Okay, so my natural levels of testosterone are over 700. I'm 47. Okay, so I say these things because we followed the evidence, and I probably should have said this before, I have the best comprehensive biomarkers of anybody in the world. Applause now. And so I've published 60 of the most predictive biomarkers that predict longevity. And that is true for 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, I'm 47. I've challenged anybody to be better than me, okay? And the reason why I do this is I'm trying to make health a global competitive sport. Because right now, when you talk about health, like anybody's an equally sufficient expert. And I want to say like expertise does not matter, biomarkers matter. And so I created this Rejuvenation Olympics. People can compete for the lowest speed of aging, okay? So if you want to compete with that, you can take a test made by Blueprint. It measures your speed of aging internally. It's one number. It allows anybody to compete. And so the goal here is, I have a lot of people who call me and they're like, I'm gonna beat you. And I say, great, I'm gonna help you. Like, I want someone to beat me. I want someone to show that you can take all the things I've done and then make it better through other modalities that we haven't done. Like, we have one path that we've achieved this on, but there's so many paths to do it. But this is basically changing health because it creates, anytime you give something numbers and create a leaderboard and competition, like humans just like get all into it, right? So you have to make health some kind of quantitative, competitive sport. That's what we've tried to do. So that's what I would encourage you all to do is like just approach your health. And I would say like all of you, like, a lot of you guys, you've achieved peak success in life, right? Like you're wildly successful. You have enormous amounts of money. You have respect of your peers. You're like top of your game. I want to suggest to you, become a professional rejuvenation athlete. This is the new game. Go all in on health. Measure your biomarkers. Try to get to the very top spot. Like do it. Like become number one in that thing. It's the new game. It's a new status symbol. Like you guys all know, longevity it's got a lot of momentum. And so I would encourage you, if you're ambitious and you love playing games, you love being like playing ranked games, this is one you should throw yourself into. All right, and then the last thing is on therapies. So there's a lot of therapies in the world. Sauna, cold plunge, like celery juice, like NAD drips, like endless stuff. Whatever you do, measure it, okay? So go in with a hypothesis and say, I'm gonna measure a baseline thing in my body. Like recently, we just did hyperbaric oxygen therapy. How many of you have done hyperbaric? Okay, cool. So like you sit in a chamber, the chamber pressurizes to, I had a chamber that's 2 atmospheres. That's equal to 33 feet under the water. And then you breathe oxygen, 100% oxygen for 20 minutes, 5 minutes off, 20 minutes of oxygen. It was the most efficacious therapy we've ever done. It was unbelievable. I'll give you a few markers. For example, I did this. It wiped out inflammation in my body. So I measured it through my HS-CRP. I have no detectable levels of inflammation in my body. That was a wild result. There's a new Alzheimer's marker called p-tau217. You can measure this in healthy people. It took mine down by 28.6%, like an insane drop. It's the best whole body skin rejuvenation therapy. In the studies, I didn't do a biopsy of my skin on this one. This is just in the studies. It increases collagen in the skin, it increases elastin fiber density, and it lowers senescent cell burden. It dramatically improved my microbiome. Like, something interesting is my vitamin D levels have been 40 for the past couple of years, and no matter how much vitamin D I take, I can't move my vitamin D levels. It shot up to 134 at the same level of vitamin D because my microbiome became so good at absorbing nutrients. Like, just absolutely improved and that's like, my telomeres extended. And so, yeah, like my telomeres, for example, like when I talk about best biomarkers, my telomeres are the age of a 10-year-old. They are, based upon a 15,600 person data set from SpectraCell. And they regenerate at the age of a 12-year-old. So your telomeres like have a length, then there's a relative telomerase activity around it. And so this is what I'm saying, like you can really get into this game, like you can isolate the variable, do therapies that address it, and then do it. Also, I have the lowest speed of aging in the world. My best 3-test average is 0.54, which means for every 12 months that pass, I age 6 months out of 12 months. Okay? So if you want to play this game, it's really fun. The data is fantastic. It's just really, really great. All right, we have a few more minutes. We're up. Okay, a few questions. Okay, a few questions, we'll wrap.
Can you ask that again? Sorry.
No, I'm just genuinely asking you if you think this is something that every American could use, like, through our healthcare system.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I was teaching my oldest son how to swim, and I was doing some research. I was a first-time father, and I learned there are 3 ways to teach him how to swim. One is you push him in the pool and you say good luck. The other is you jump in the pool and say, jump to me. 3 is you bring his friend over who knows how to swim. The friend is the best. So we humans, we do what other humans do. All of us do. The best way to change culture in America is not through the government, it's through culture. It's making health acceptable and cool. It's going to bed on time is respectable, right? It's not seen as a geek or weird move. It's like, right now it's like if you want to roll and drink and be out late and like party hard and like that's kind of the thing. It's when health and longevity become like the new status symbol. So I think that's going to be, we just launched a company this week called Blueprint Quantified, where over the past couple of years, I've been measuring everything going into my body, air, food, like everything. And we've discovered food is really toxic, as you all probably assume. But it's really bad. And so we just launched a Blueprint Quantified where we're testing foods. We're starting with pet food because humans care more about their pets than they do themselves. It's true. And so we're gonna test cat and dog food for heavy metals. And we're gonna try to map the pet food ohm in the US so that we can say the average American Labrador Retriever has blank mcgs of cadmium per day, which has this kind of effect. And then once we get pet, dog and cat food done, then we'll move to human food. But we're basically, for the governmental thing, we're gonna try to basically, this is something the government should do. Like, we should just have everything tested. We should know what's in our food, we don't. So Blueprint Quantified is attempting to like do economy scale, national scale testing of our food system, so we know, yeah.
Hi, Bryan. Hi there, my name's Stephen. So I'm a doctor. I've got a PhD in sleep, actually, and a degree in psychology. And so, so I was just saying, I'm a doctor. I've got a PhD in sleep, a degree in psychology. And I think all of the pathophysiological stuff you've talked about, like, really spot on. But there's also a huge bidirectional relationship between anxiety, depression, and insomnia. And it's about 40% comorbid. And so I have 2 questions. So the first one is whether you have any work within your blueprint that tackles those things. And the second question is there's a massive health economic argument for pushing poor sleep agenda, across states and across society. And I wondered what work you were doing from that point of view, because my supervisor actually writes the guidelines for AI and sleep across Europe. So I just was interested in your thoughts about those 2 things.
Yeah. So I don't, I guess my approach to insomnia and also mental health disorders is when most people are going through a disorder, in America especially, we think of pills as the very first course of action. And then, as you know, the pills create all sorts of complexities themselves. whether it disrupts your appetite or whether your sleep or whatever the case may be. And like, I don't know about you, I never learned how to sleep in school. I learned how to drive a car. I learned about sex ed. I learned about history. I never learned how to sleep. And when I talk, this is why I started with sleep. As grown adults, I bet that none of you have ever actually been taught how to sleep. It's insane. And we spend a third of our life doing it. It's like this most important thing. And so I guess what I try to say here is like, if you're feeling bad about yourself, if you're depressed or you have anxiousness or you have some other mood disorder and or you've got insomnia, that getting these basic life practices in place, like lowering your heart rate before bed, dramatically changes your sleep. Your last meal of the day, your light environment, your wind down routine, whether you have stress. Now that of course is not going to solve everybody's problems, right? But it's like the basic hygiene to have in place. Once you have those practices in place, like if you're not solved, like then yes, of course, like see a professional, maybe a CPAP device is appropriate, but basically no one in our society is advocating for good basic sleep hygiene anywhere. And so we're all stuck with not knowing what to do, and we can't sleep, we don't know why, we feel terrible, we don't know why, and then we think pills are the answer, makes things worse. And so we're just trapped in this really bad loop. So I'm trying to like dislodge us from doing that. Yeah, so I've talked to, so RFK is a friend, and I've talked to them jokingly about being sleep czar. Yeah, like, why wouldn't the US have a sleep czar? But yeah, I think it'd be cool, like if we actually just made it as a priority. I think it'd be cool for the United States to say we want to become number one in the world for life expectancy. That'd be a good goal. Like just put a really big North Star and then back into like, well, let's clean up our food system. Let's also clean up our, et cetera, yeah.
Hi, Bryan. So obviously we're all very social creatures. How have you accounted for meaningful, impactful social relationships in relation to health? And what is an appropriate number, or what is the depth of those relationships that you really start to see impactful benefits?
Yeah, so if those who are more socially inclined have a 15% lower speed of aging, and they're 16% more active. So it's very strongly correlated with health and wellness. So yeah, like your social fabric is really important. And so yeah, I'd say like, but like it's kind of like it's the quality of your social fabric. It's not just being out, but it's like you really feel each other and you can connect deeply. So yeah, I'd say like if you're not, like so many of my friends, like I'm just amazed at this, like my most successful friends, I call and they'll be like, I have no friends, right? Like, and I think like many of you like privately would probably say the same thing to me, right? Like you socially know a lot of people, you're out and about quite a bit, but like how many real solid friends do you count? And on a Saturday afternoon when things are kind of like calm, do you got a buddy to hang out with? A lot of people don't. And so it's like this really weird thing that we are very social, but like the depth of it's not there. So I personally have worked, I guess I've been victim to that. Like I'm so ambitious, right? I just work all the time, and I of course know a lot of people, I'm with a lot of people all the time, but that depth has been missing sometimes in my life. So over the past couple of years, I've really tried to go deep. And so my personal measurement is how many people can walk into my house unannounced and go through my cupboards, right? Like at that level, we're good. But if they have to announce they're coming over, like it's too much friction. So I agree with you.
And is there a number that you think is appropriate? 5 relationships like that, 10, 2?
Yeah, no, I think everybody like has a different capacity. I know some people who just have like a core set of 2 friends and like they're just really solid. So just like find your, like we all know what it feels like to have that deep connection, like just lock in on your people. Yeah, but yeah, if you aren't doing that, you guys, like I hope what's hit today is like if you're in pain in life, I hope this resonates. Like there are paths to you to address the pain you feel in life, friendship, basic life habits, like this really is in your best interest. Are we out of time?
2 more questions and we're done.
Okay.
You choose, Bryan.
You choose.
With this
For the love of God. So I was worried about my health through most of your speech, and then you mentioned the nighttime boners, and I was like, I am doing well. I am doing super well. But in the realm of sleep, I went through a period of insomnia. I got a concussion when I was playing college football, and thought a lot about sleep, and I did a lot of research on sleep, and I was really curious to know if you've ever gone down this rabbit hole of how do you master lucid dreaming, and are you trying to engineer the living hell out of when you're sleeping as well, or is it just when you're awake?
Yeah, I haven't done lucid dreaming. I have friends who do it. I don't myself, because I guess I go after the different metric of sleep quality. So it'd be a great experiment to run. I wonder if you can be a professional, like a really good lucid dreamer, and also know your sleep metrics. So like the cool thing with measurement is most people will say like, oh, I sleep 4 hours a night, I'm all good. You can measure if they're good, right? If they're not good, they've got inflammatory processes going on in their brain and elsewhere. And so, yeah, I haven't done it. And then the second question, so if you guys want to measure men, sadly women, I'm sorry, there's no current device that measures female nighttime erections. That sucks. Men, if you want to measure your nighttime erections, there's a company called Atom Health. Okay, so it's a little device. It's about inch cubed. You put it at the base of the penis. You put it on before you go to bed. And I know it's you kind of laugh about this, but I'm telling you, it's a really important marker of health. Okay, so my nighttime erections are the length of the Titanic. The movie. 3 hours and 8 minutes, okay? It's better than an average 18-year-old, okay? Now, the reason why this is relevant is it's like going to the gym. I can lift weights, right? I can like work really hard to lift a weight. When you go to sleep, you can't control your boners, right? So my body is behaving like an 18-year-old on its own, better than the average 18-year-old on its own, right? That's how I know this stuff is working. It's like if my telomeres are age 10, and my boners are doing that, like my body is functioning at a younger biological age. And so that's how you play this game, is you just let the body read out its process. Now, if you're not getting nighttime erections up to like your age appropriate level, there's a therapy you can do. It's called focused ultrasound, shockwave therapy. Okay? Yes, you're gonna shock your penis, okay? So there's clinical evidence showing that men that struggle with ED, you can do this therapy. Okay? But we posed this question. So I took a baseline measurement of my nighttime erections. We said, what can we do to improve nighttime erections? And we said, can we take this therapy that works for ED and can we apply it for improvement in performance? And it worked. My erections went up. Okay, so it works by enhancing blood flow, stimulating tissue. It is pretty painful, but you can do like 3 to 6 therapies. These systems are very common around the world. It's about $200, $300 per session. This same technology can be used to heal various injuries on joints. So if you've got like ever sprained an ankle, or you have an ACL tear, or your knees are hurting, you can do the same therapy on those things as well. It's one of the very best technologies we've ever used, okay? So it's called shockwave therapy. There's different technologies, different ways to approach it, but if you have any aches and pains in your body, shoulders, elbows, knees, ankles, whatever, I would encourage you to look into this. It's really a spectacular technology. It's low cost. And it's a way it's something you can do on a continuous basis to address your injury, but also to continue to stay ahead of it.
Last question over here. Hi, Tad Tobar. I actually work for Dr. Aaron D'Souza.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. And my question is about something very personal. I have genetic kidney disease. I was born with it. My whole family has it, and we're discovering and trying to treat our genetics. And I was really, really happy to see the baby in Pennsylvania who was recently cured post-birth for the first time in history, which to me, as someone who's been dealing with this, measurements, et cetera, brought me to enhanced, like that deep passion I have. What is your guys' approach to that and those therapies at Blueprint, and what's the current information?
Yeah, so what he's referring to is there was a baby that was born with a rare genetic disease. They used a CRISPR gene edit, and they basically had cured the disease. So it was like first in world, real-time iteration of developing genetic engineering. So yes, this is like, let me just pause you in soberness for just a second, okay? We are the first generation who won't die. You may not believe me right now, but in a year from now, many of you will. In 5 years from now, all of you will. It's coming, okay? I want you to really think, I want you to like sit on that. A change is coming to what it means to be human. Don't die is the new game we're gonna play as a species, okay? Our job, our only job is gonna be, how do we stay alive? And I realize we're all wrapped up in the game of chasing wealth. That's the game, we're doing it, okay? A new game is coming, okay? Now whether wealth is paired with that, like maybe, maybe not, but like once we get a taste of these new therapies and we start saying like, wow, we can begin extending. Like I did this, I'll leave this with this thought experiment. After I sold Braintree Venmo, when I was 21 years old, I served a Mormon mission in Ecuador, and I lived among extreme poverty. And I came back to the U.S. and I was like, this is so amazing. Like, the U.S. is like such an amazing spot. I felt so privileged, and I thought I want to spend my life doing something that benefits the human race. But I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't good at anything. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money as an entrepreneur, and then with money, I'm going to go out and do something cool. And so I did that. I built Braintree Venmo. I sold it. Made $300 million, and wanted to kill myself. I absolutely destroyed my existence. And I had to rebuild myself. And so I did this thought experiment. I thought, but what do you do? Like, if you have this money, what do you do among all the things you can possibly do in the world? And so it took me several years to think about this, but I had one thought experiment that finally landed it for me. I imagined being present in the year 2500. So a few hundred years into the future. Like, far enough where it's like, it's so far we can't even understand what it would be like to exist in that year 2500. And I imagine existing in that moment, listening to them talk. And they're saying like, wow, like we're so grateful for Homo sapiens, right? Like what they did in the early 21st century that allowed intelligence to thrive in this part of the galaxy, like build out an existence more amazing than anything we ever could imagine. What did we do? What did they say? And I think they say two things that happened in the early 21st century. One is they say, that's when the human race gave birth to superintelligence. And two, they say that's when humans figured out they weren't going to die. That's it. Everything else is just kind of like it kind of fades out a little bit. Like we look back at the 3rd century and we say like 2 things happened in the entire 3rd century. We just like compress time. They will compress our time as well. And as rich and as full as our lives are today, we will be compressed as well. Just like our obituaries, right? Our entire life is compressed into a paragraph or 2. Our time is going to be compressed. And I think those are the 2 things. And so really, this is like such a special moment for us as a species. So great hanging out with you guys. I hope this lands. I hope you take it to heart. I hope you have the best sleep of your life. I hope I can be that positive force in your ear. I hope you will respect yourself and your existence. That the fact that you're conscious is insane. It is such a special thing. Don't disrespect yourself by making bad decisions for your health and wellness, okay? All right, be well.